What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So we're making this video a little bit later than I would have hoped to make it, but I was actually moving in the past couple of weeks, and we're finally here down in the new place in Southern California in Orange County, and it's a lot of fun. And let's jump right into the video. So KLED is a fighter, though he could probably actually be played like a tank or an assassin as well. And he's actually the first proper kind of mounted character in League of Legends, the other maybe being Sejuani, but she doesn't entirely interact with her mount, and KLED's got some really interesting abilities, and some of them change depending on whether or not he's mounted, which is a pretty cool mechanic, and it also makes you wonder, how strong he actually is, and with this new champion, so we're gonna try to find out. And just a heads up, we're also, now that I've finally moved, we're officially launching our Hearthstone channel, so definitely check that out too if you're into Hearthstone. We're doing a lot of content similar to the kind of League content that we're doing on this channel, so check that out if you're into Hearthstone. We'll have a link in the description, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you don't, definitely hit that dislike. And let's get started. So let's start off with this feisty little Yordle's abilities. His passive is all about his cowardly lizard Skarl. KLED can't gain any bonus health by any means except the growth stat that he receives with each level. Instead, Skarl scales with the health items that he purchases, while also gaining HP per level himself. When KLED is mounted, damage will be absorbed by Skarl until he reaches 0 HP, causing KLED to dismount and Skarl to run off. While dismounted, KLED gains more attack range and movement speed towards enemy champions, but his base movement speed and basic attack strength is weakened. Overall, it's definitely better to be mounted. When you're unmounted, that's kind of like a weak point, but KLED can bring Skarl, his mount, back by killing enemy units and damaging enemy towers or epic monsters, building up a resource known as courage. When he fills the courage bar, Skarl will rejoin the fight, and KLED will hop back on top of him. KLED loses the ability to use his E and his ultimate when he's not mounted on Skarl, and his Q is also changed out for an overall weaker ability, so it's definitely best to stay mounted whenever possible. When he dismounts though, he's briefly not able to be targeted. Some kind of interesting synergy while maybe tower diving, because you can let Skarl tank the tower, get the kill, and then when Skarl loses all of his health, you actually kind of lose tower aggro because of the untargetability portion. KLED's mounted Q is Bear Trap on a Rope, and it's a brand new hook ability with a little bit of a twist. Landing KLED's hook is not enough to actually pull a target in, you also need to stay inside a radius that slowly gets smaller. And if you do, you will pull in the target and deal bonus damage. This ability is definitely designed to punish single targets, and honestly all of KLED's kit kinda tells you the same story. He's all about sticking to a single target, and Bear Trap on a Rope gives you exactly what you need to lock down an escaping enemy. When KLED is not mounted, his Q changes to Pocket Pistol, an activated buckshot that kind of works a little bit like Graves' auto attacks, firing in a cone and giving 5% courage for each pellet that hits an enemy champion. It stores 2 shots even while mounted, and also knocks KLED backwards when he fires, so it kind of works like a mix between a damage tool for when he's unmounted, and also a survival tool a little bit since you won't have Skarl's health pool to rely on. So a well-timed Q might be just what you need to dodge a scary ability and actually survive. KLED's W is Violent Tendencies, which gives him 150% attack speed for 4 attacks, starting with the first attack once it's off cooldown. On the 4th attack, KLED gains bonus damage that deals up to a base of 8% of a target's maximum health, which is actually quite a strong ability for taking down enemy tanks or monsters with big health pools. On top of that, it gains an extra plus 5% of max health damage for every 100 attack damage that KLED has, so building full AD is definitely something that has potential, and it's going to be a crazy fun way to actually play him. Unfortunately, you cannot toggle it off though, so you do have to be careful not to attack a minion when Violent Tendencies is off cooldown if you're wanting to trade with an enemy, or you'll end up using the huge power boost on minions instead of actually killing champions with it. This ability, along with his big level 1 health pool, will probably make him a reasonably viable jungler actually. Not necessarily A tier, but it definitely works from what we've seen actually. But his primary role is definitely intended to be in the top lane. As for his next ability, KLED only has access to use his E Jousting while he's mounted. It works kind of like a short dash and deals damage to all enemies that it hits, along with giving bonus movement speed for 1 second. If KLED hits an enemy though, it marks them, and KLED can then reactivate Joust to dash back through them a second time. It's kind of like a little bit more conditional version of Renekton's Slice and Dice, and it helps give KLED that extra stickiness to help deal with some really mobile units, or really just pretty much anyone trying to escape. Unlike Renekton though, his second dash can only go towards the marked unit, so you have to pick your targets quite carefully, but it's still a strong ability to have for sure. KLED's ultimate is pretty nuts though, and it's definitely my favorite of his abilities. It's called Charge, and it can only be used while he's mounted, but you choose a location on the map to charge towards, kind of like with Scion. The big difference is that you don't need to control the charge, it will automatically navigate terrain and gain speed and a shield over the duration. It also leaves a move and speed wake for your allies so that they can follow your crazy initiation. The first champion you encounter during the charge will be locked onto by the ability, and then you'll dash into them, knock them back, and deal massive damage based on how far you traveled. It deals up to 18% of a target's maximum health as base damage, but it also gains plus 12% for every 100 AD you have, so at even just 300 AD, you're going to be dealing 56% of your target's maximum health as physical damage before resistances, and that is pretty damn insane for a global ability nonetheless that lets you speed across the map and lock onto someone. It essentially works like KLED's cross-map engage tool, and it's actually an awesome way to pull the rest of your team into a fight as well, as long as they actually follow you in the charge. It's pretty good for dueling or locking down an isolated squishy target, and gives you enough time to land a follow-up Q and start smashing people with your violent tendencies. One cool trick with KLED is that his W actually works on towers, so he's quite a powerful split pusher actually. Bonus attack speed for 4 attacks, and a huge damage boost on the 4th hit is a pretty nice way to be able to tear down towers, and thanks to his ultimate, he does actually have a way to get back into the fight even without running teleport. Any target that struggles to avoid his hook or dashes is going to be easy prey for KLED because he'll be able to land his W quite reliably with all of those sticky abilities. If you do manage to scare Skarl away by dealing enough damage to him, you'll have to keep an eye on KLED's courage bar, or you might end up overcommitting because he is quite squishy after he dismounts. When Skarl finally returns and you mount up again, KLED gains all of the health instantly, so it's actually quite a clever way for him to bait an enemy in. Get your courage bar almost filled, and then pop your Q for that last few percent, and then just get a ton of health from Skarl in the process, along with the ability to dash, use your E, use your ultimate, and get that extra power in a trade. KLED's main weakness is going to be lanes or opponents who can whittle down Skarl's HP with poke, letting them avoid KLED's abilities and his violent tendencies. This is only going to work until level 6 or so though once he gets his charge, so even without sustain, KLED does have an awesome way to make life hell for a single target because his engage is just so reliable. He probably works a little bit better in pick comps rather than teams that want to team fight, but his initiation is still quite strong, and he can work in a few different roles and has really reliable roaming too, so it seems like KLED is going to be a pick that might be pretty terrifying for solo queue, where communication isn't as good and people get easily caught out by his speed. He can build tanky as a bruiser, or even full AD if you're feeling crazy as KLED is. So not only is he fun as hell, but he's actually looking to be quite versatile in the ways that you can build him, which is always something that I personally love seeing. Maximum health damage is Riot's answer to the tank meta, and KLED will be able to burn through tank health bars like crazy thanks to that max health scaling, which is going to give him an awesome boost up in the top lane. Still, he's probably at his best as sort of like a fighter kind of build with a mix of damage and tank stats, where he can give Skarl a huge health bar while still dealing a ton of damage. Overall, KLED is actually looking like he's going to be quite powerful. I actually talked a little bit about having an ability kind of like Empath's Attach from Heroes of Newerth in League, and sort of that whole version of like an ally that attaches to a different character, and Skarl adding to KLED's health bar with his own is actually quite an interesting way to do it, and it's a little bit different than the version I predicted in the past, but I'm really glad to see Riot finally come out with one of their most or at least one of my most anticipated concepts for an ability. On top of that, he's both fast and sticky and deals a ton of damage to boot, and yeah, he's actually quite strong, and if he's released in the same form as he is on PBE, we're going to be expecting that he'll make his mark in ranked quite soon. Definitely want to hear your thoughts on KLED too though, so let us know in the comments below, especially if you had a chance to play him already. And looks like that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.